Dear learners, welcome to my online class. Hope all of you are safe and sound against the coronavirus pandemic. Today I am going to talk about Ulysses, a long poem written by Alfred Lord Tennyson. As it is a 70-line long poem, I have divided my lecture into two parts. Today I will discuss part 1. Before beginning with the poem, we should know about the poet and the background of the poem. Alfred Lord Tennyson was a Victorian poet. He was the national poet of England. At the time, he was very much popular and famous. He wrote many famous poems, such as In Memoriam, Ulysses, Lotus Eaters, Tithonus, etc. Tennyson has written the poem on the basis of Greek mythology. Ulysses is not the Greek name, it's a Roman name. The Greek name of Ulysses was Odysseus. So, according to Greek mythology, Ulysses or Odysseus was the king of Ithaca. The name of his wife was Penelope and his son was Telemachus, and he used to rule the people of Ithaca. But when Trojan War broke out, he took part in the war, and the Trojan War continued for 10 years. After the end of the war, he started journey back home, but on the sea he was distracted by the god of sea, and he had to wander on the sea and around the globe for another 10 years. Finally, after 20 years, he reached home, and our poem begins from this particular point. Let us start with the poem. Ulysses. It little prepares that an idle king, by this still hearth, among these barren crags, master with an aged wife, I meet and dole unequal laws unto a savage race, that hoard and sleep and feed, and know not me. From these lines, we see that Ulysses is the king of Ithaca. He has a kingdom which is barren, that means which is unproductive. He has a wife which is now old or aged, and he has started ruling the people of Ithaca, but according to Ulysses, the people are savage, the people are not civilized. The people only hoard, that means collect things, sleep, eat, and they do not know their king. So, Ulysses is becoming idle, staying at home and governing those people and making laws for them is useless, is profitless. This type of life doesn't give him any pleasure, any satisfaction. So Ulysses is dissatisfied with the life he is now living. In the later section, we will see the cause of his dissatisfaction. Let's move on to the next slide. In this section, he says that I cannot rest from travel. I will drink life to the lees. All times I have enjoyed greatly, have suffered greatly, both with those that loved me and alone. on shore, and when through scudding drifts the rainy Hades vexed and the dim sea, I am become a name. Ulysses says that he cannot rest from travel. This is the most important thing. Travel. He is a great traveler because he was out of his home for 20 years and he traveled a lot. So when people are out of their home for a longer period of time, after returning home after a longer period of time, they cannot concentrate on the home affairs. They cannot adapt themselves to those people at home. The same thing has happened with Ulysses because Ulysses is a great traveler. He's a journey maker. He cannot stay idle. He cannot stay home without doing any productive things. So he says that I will bring life to the least. That means he will enjoy the life completely. All times I have enjoyed greatly and suffered greatly, both with those that love me and alone on shore, and when through scudding drifts the rainy Hades vexed the dim sea. He says that he has gone through both enjoyment and suffering on land and on the sea, sometimes alone, sometimes with people who loved him. He says that I am become a name. Another important line is that I am become a name. That means he claims that he has become popular with the people of the globe, as his name and fame has spread across the globe. He has a brand name. Everybody knows him. For always roaming with a hungry heart, much have I seen and known, cities of men and manners, climates, councils, governments, myself not least, but honored of them all, and drank delight of battle with my peers, far on the ringing plains of windy Troy. He says that he has a hungry heart. That means he is very inquisitive. He wants to know the unknown. He wants to see the unseen. And with this inquisitive mind, he has experienced many things. He has seen and known the cities of the world, the manners, climates, and the governments of those countries. He says that all of them, that means he visited the people, honored him, they showed respect to him, and he has enjoyed with his companions in the Troy, because he took part in the Trojan War and he enjoyed it. I'm a part of all that I have met. He said that he has become the part of all the experiences he has gathered, mixing with those peoples, learning the manners, climates, and the governments of those countries. Yet all experience is an arch where through glimpse that untraveled world whose margin fades forever and forever when I move. Ulysses claims that the experience he has gathered is like a gate. It's a carved gate. It's an archway. And he can see the untraveled world, unexplored world through that gate. But when he moves That means when he begins to make a journey in that untrodden world, unexplored world, that untraveled world becomes known to him, and the boundary goes away. Margin fades, that means the boundary goes away, the boundary ends forever for him, and all that become a part of his life. How dull it is to pause, to make an end, to rust unvarnished, not to shine in use. How dull it is to pause, to make an end. Ulysses says that it is very dull to pause, that means to stay, to stop traveling, to stop making journey, to make an end. Actually, if we stop, if we do not make journeys and sit idle, that type of life becomes very dull. The same thing has happened with Ulysses. To rust unvarnished, not to shine in use. Yes, unvarnished means if we actually leave iron for a longer period of time without any use, then it becomes rusted. It becomes rusted and it becomes useless. It doesn't shine when we try to use it. Actually, Ulysses has put emphasis on the movement, on the moving of the people. So if we actually pause, if we sit idle, then we become like rusted iron and we cannot move, we cannot do anything better. As a result, Ulysses is hopeless to stay home. In the first section, we have seen that Ulysses is dissatisfied with the type of life he is leading now, because sitting idly at home and ruling the uncivilized people is not good for him. It just makes him idle, and it just makes him dull and unvarnished. So, to live a better life, we must move. As though to breathe while life piled on life were all too little, and of one to me little remains. But every hour is saved from that eternal silence, something more, a bringer of new things. And while it were for some 3 suns to store and hoard myself, and this grey spirit yearning in desire to fall on always like a sinking star, beyond the utmost bound of human thought, as though to breathe were life. Actually, Ulysses says that only breathing is not life. If you stay on a particular place and if you do not go away on any journey, then it's a kind of life. You are alive because you breathe. But according to Ulysses, it's not life. It's motionless. It will not bring any profit to you. Life piled on life were all too little, and of one to me little remains. Ulysses says that multiple lives are very little to do better in this world, and of one to me little remains, and very little of his life remains to do better job, to do anything that will be worth living in this world. But every hour is saved from that eternal silence, something more, a bringer of new things. Ulysses says that from his existing life he wants to save every moment, and that will be the bringer of new things. That means if he is able to live for a longer period of time, for more hours, then it will be easier for him to do anything new, to discover the new land, to explore the untraveled world. And while it were 4 sons, 3 sons to store and hold myself, and this great spirit yearning in desire to follow knowledge like a sinking star beyond the utmost bound of human thought. And he claims that to energize himself he needs 3 days, and he has grown old because he has said this great spirit. Great spirit means that he has grown old, but he has spirit inside. And most important theme of the poem is the spirit of the old people. If though they are physically weak, physically old, but they are strong in spirit inside. And he says that he has yearning, he has desire to follow knowledge like a sinking star. Yes, if you look at the starry sky, you will see that the star sinks slowly. In the same way, when we approach old age, when we approach death, still we can follow knowledge, still we can gather knowledge. So knowledge is important. In another poem, Tennyson has said that in the poem of Lotus Eaters, he says that wisdom comes but knowledge lingers. So knowledge is the most important thing. Knowledge is the most important asset in our life. If you have knowledge, you can overcome all the types of obstacles in your life. So Ulysses says that he will follow knowledge like a sinking star. Whether he is going old or not, it doesn't matter. He must follow knowledge, he must gather knowledge, because he has strong determination, he has strong willpower beyond the utmost bound of human thought. Yes, human thought has a boundary, but if you have a strong willpower, if you are strong-willed, you are determined, then you can go beyond your imagination, beyond your utmost boundary of thought. So from this line we see that only taking breath is not life, and whatever we have remaining in our stock, we should spend the remaining period of our life on gaining knowledge, on gathering knowledge, and we should think beyond our imaginations. And it's possible when we have determination, we have spirit. Now Ulysses goes to talk about his son Telemachus. This is my son, mine own Telemachus. That means he has a son, his name is Telemachus, to whom I leave the scepter and the isle. Well loved of me, discerning to fulfill this labor, by slow prudence to make mild a rugged people, and through soft degrees subdue them to the useful and the good. He said that he is going to lead the kingdom under the care of his son Telemachus. And he says that he is well loved. That means Ulysses loves his son very much, discerning to fulfill this labor, and he expects that his son will fulfill his expectations. the expectation to rule or govern the people of Ithaca, by slow prudence to make mild a ragged people. He says that his son will have prudence enough, will have knowledge and wisdom enough to make the uncivilized people mild or civilized, and through subdue them to the useful and the good, and using soft laws, soft approaches, using soft styles or easy ways, he will be able to subdue those uncivilized or savage people, useful and good for the kingdom of the people. We have seen in the first section that the people are uncivilized. The people only hoard, eat, sleep, but they do not know their people. So if people are hoarding, sleeping and eating, they are useless. But Telemachus, the son of Ulysses, will be able to bring those people under his control, will be able to make him fruitful and useful for the kingdom. Ulysses continues to talk about his son. Most blameless is he, centered in the sphere of common duties, discern not to fail in offices of tenderness, and pay meet adoration to my household gods. When I am gone, he works his work, I mine. Most blameless is he. Ulysses claims that his son is blameless. You cannot put any blame on him. He is pure, centered in the sphere of common duties. That means he will perform all the responsibilities, all the common duties of the kingdom. Discern not to fail in offices of tenderness. That means he will not fail in running the kingdom, in running the activities of the state at a time, and meet adoration to my household gods, paid adoration to my household gods. And Ulysses used to pray a god, used to show a lot of affection for his god. But when he leaves, when he goes on another journey, and you know that he intends to leave the kingdom in the care of his son, he says that his son will pay adoration. His son will also say prayer to that god when I am gone. That means when Ulysses is gone, he works his work, I mine. This is the most important line. He works his work, I mine. That means Ulysses says his son will work his own work, and Ulysses will do his own. You know that Ulysses is a great traveler, adventurous person. He cannot stay idle at home. He doesn't like ruling people, staying with his aged wife. So his work is exploring the world, exploring the untraveled world, and gathering knowledge regarding the people, manners, climates, customs, and governments of the world. And from these sections, we can say that Ulysses is not a worthy ruler. Ulysses is going to abandon the responsibility of his citizens. He is not a good ruler, but he is a good explorer. And he says that his son will be a good ruler. So today I would like to end my discussions here, and I will talk about the remaining of the poem in my second part, in my second lecture. Thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe.